This is Saturday Morning Mysteries.
And we're your hosts, Alexis and Grace.
Hello, good morning. Welcome back to another episode of Saturday Morning Mysteries. We're your hosts. I'm Grace.
And I'm Alexis.
And we're back coming to you right before Christmas with some more holiday, snowy, Christmas, holly jolly, spirited recaps before we launch in. I think we need to briefly discuss some new evidence that came to light in a hot debate in our lives, aka the bird dome, if you will.
Oh, yes.
12 Days of Christmas bird dome.
The bird
I sent Alexis a video of the turkeys.
We have video footage.
We'll post it on Instagram. The video footage of when turkeys do kind of fly. They mainly just like launch themselves into the air and then like yeet themselves forward to glide.
Yeah. And I had so much that I wanted to say, so much more that I wanted to say to your text message, Grace. And when you sent me the video, but I was like, I feel like we're going to talk about this on the podcast. So I'll just save my thoughts for then. Those three turkeys in your video were like beautifully in unison. They looked like they were moving with a plan. They looked strategic. They looked calculated.
Cunning,
if you will. I would not want to run into them like mid-flight, like imagine like you being in their landing path. Oh, hell no. No.
They're coming down with those talons.
Put it into perspective. They got some height. They got higher up than I thought they would, because weren't they kind of going over a little fence?
Yes, they were going over the fence in my backyard. Yeah, and they like got above it, a lot of clearance.
Cleared it.
And then enough to like soar a good amount back into the woods behind my house. So
they disappeared. Yeah. I mean, is it full flight? No, but it's a threat. That's for sure.
I mean, yeah, it's a dome where they don't have that far to go. So yeah, our recalculation slightly was like, because we were saying, like the goose and the swans could just fly up. And granted, they could probably just hover and stay up there, but the turkeys could at least like body slam them in the air or come down on them,
A bigger one, yeah. And, those talons.
Yeah.
They could hook those talons into anything.
Hook them in, or when they slam down upon you. Turkeys are heavy. A big turkey definitely outweighs a goose, probably.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or it's heavy enough to at least like... It's going to take the goose out for a second. Splat it. It's going to cause some damage, that's for sure.
Yes, exactly.
These turkeys, I
think they're winning.
I do. I think they could go undefeated, at least, in the one-on-one battles.
In our 12 Days of Christmas one-on-one.
Right. If we're talking like 6 swans a swimming or whatever, 6 geese a laying, I think. Yeah. I don't have that. I should have pulled that script up with that, that listing in it. Yeah, I should have. But yes, they're not going to beat 6 geese. But yeah, one goose versus one turkey even.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, geese can fly too, though, but I've never seen a goose do that, like little
soar slam
like that. Yeah, that thing that the turkey does is just crazy. Yeah.
So, 1v1 turkey.
It's excellent control of its,
of its faculties.
Excellent control of its body, of its faculties. Yeah. These turkeys, man. I feel like we're like sports commentators. Like the athletes.
Oh, look at his form. It's really improved. Oh, God, they're so in sync. That vert on her. Incredible. So, so that's the latest. I guess follow us at Satmore Mist on Instagram to see the footage from my backyard. Literally, I was like, I don't know what the fuck I was doing. I was sitting in the living room. And then all of this, because I've seen them, obviously we've got gangs of turkeys in my neighborhood. We've discussed this so many times.
And I will add too, Grace sent me other pictures throughout this week of turkeys in her neighborhood. So this isn't everywhere. Just like, they're everywhere anyway.
Yeah, they truly run these streets here. And I've seen them before, like from my, like literally I'll just be in my office, like right here. And out of the corner of my eye, I'll catch one jumping off of my neighbor's roof, like coming down. But I've never seen them launch up. I've only ever seen the descent, when they've been chilling on a roof, I guess.
Yeah.
So I was sitting in the living room. All of a sudden I saw like a flurry of like, zoom. And I was like, what is that? And so I ran to the window and then saw the other 3. And then there was one more too. Yeah. So I texted Alexis saying, if I don't show up to this recording. She knows what's happened to me.
Yep. Yeah, I was ready. I was like, I might have to like get some guns and run out to Oregon and go hunt some turkeys and go save her and
Revenge,
Justin.
vengeance for me. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I would like quit everything, quit my job.
Just putting war paint on.
Yeah. Fight these goddamn turkeys.
Yep. Perfect.
But also that's an added little skill of theirs. You said they fly off of roofs. Like I don't see geese and swans hanging out on roofs of houses.
Yeah, turkeys dive bomb. That's their ring move, is the dive bomb for sure. Maybe it's a flop, maybe it's a bomb. I don't know. Either way, they're coming down. They're coming down hot.
They're coming in hot. Yeah,
right into those ovens for Thanksgiving dinner. Or Christmas dinner, which is right around the corner.
Exactly.
Speaking of which,
yep, just a few days away. Exactly. It's only it's the second most important day in the next 4 days after this episode airs.
So true.
Tomorrow's a much more important day than Christmas, I said, as of the airing of this episode.
Never heard of him.
Never heard of him. But yes, we'll first talk about a Christmas episode of a show that, we haven't covered yet, Grace. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to bring up another good surprise. I thought I'd get all wacky with it this holiday season and just talk about a whole bunch of shows. I wanted to make your job harder and getting all of the screenshots for this.
I have to go fish out all these shows. As if you don't kindly put the links YouTube video for me.
I try to. I try to make it as easy as possible. Only because the first time I did it, I realized Grace isn't going to be able to find this episode. This is like, I searched for 20 minutes on Internet Archive to find this shit. I'm not going to waste her time. But
thank you. I appreciate you.
In this case, today, we will be talking about a classic, a good one.
Okay.
You've probably definitely heard of it. Not sure if you've watched it often or how much you grew up with it, but I know you're familiar with the name. It's a good old show called Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget.
Inspector Gadget. Yes, I was like, you at least have to know the intro music. Yeah, probably one of the. That's one of the big ones. I put that up there with like Darkwing Duck, and a couple others. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the catchiest of all. Intro, title, whatever songs. And yes, so today we'll be talking about Inspector Gadget and the holiday special in particular called Inspector Gadget Saves Christmas.
Okay.
Not, straightforward. And so this episode came out in 1992 on December 4th. So, a 20...
great time.
20, I can't do that math. No, 32 years ago.
Yeah, I was like, Alexis, do you think you're 26?
I wish.
We're turning 32.
Yeah. So before, though, we talk about the Christmas special itself, I was like, let's do a little background on Inspector Gadget in case folks aren't familiar with it. It's not one that we've covered on this podcast before, but honestly, could come up in the future.
Contender.
It could be. And, maybe this episode will be like our little tester, our little teaser. Grace, you see how you like it? I think there's actually a lot of good material in it that we could mess around with for a whole arc, but we'll get to that another day. So this show, it's an animated, obviously, superhero science fiction comedy that revolves around the adventures of a clumsy, dim-witted police officer working on patrol in the fictional Metro City, and also sometimes going worldwide. And of course, his name is Inspector Gadget. The show first, Inspector Gadget.
We're gonna have to say it every time you say his name.
And so the show, it first premiered with a pilot episode also on December 4th of 1982. And it continued with a series after that ran from September of 1983 to November of 1985. So this Christmas special actually came 7 years after the show's original series ended. And this apparently was actually like the very end of that kind of iteration of Inspector Gadget. Everything since then has been like a totally different show or movie.
Okay.
So That series run of it, though, from September 1983 to November 1985, it's interesting because this is, at least according to Wikipedia, it's the earliest known debut and like series run of the
Okay.
show, which I was
That's
like,
very
earliest
specific
known.
language. Yeah. It's not
Exactly.
like
And
Rosetta Stone or something. Like,
well, and here's why, and I'll explain why they use that weird language. Because, like you, I was like, earliest known.
this is
What the
like
fuck is
hieroglyphics.
that? This is
The
hieroglyphics. Yeah,
earliest
it's like
known writing.
artifact of a
Yeah.
cartoon. What is
Earliest known
happening?
skeleton.
Yes. So the first airing, earliest known airing, was on WFSL TV,
Okay.
which is this random local station in Lansing, Michigan.
Okay. And
Yeah,
it
so I was
was
like,
of this
wait,
iteration?
of this show, of this iteration, like of
Okay.
those 2 years, those two seasons of this show. And apparently, because I was like, well, that's weird. How did this show that was just on TV in Lansing, Michigan become like such a huge deal? Because
Yeah.
Inspector Gadget's massive, right? So
Yeah.
apparently there was this whole like, there's this interesting broadcasting or licensing kind of scheme going on where, like, back
Scheme.
in the 80s, no, not what I said. I said scheme.
Yeah,
Oh,
of
I thought you
like,
said game. Oh,
oh no,
scheme.
scheme. I'm like, what shady business was
Oh,
happening?
do tell more. Maybe scheme was like, maybe that's not the best word for it. Maybe this is just the way they did things back then
Yeah.
when local stations had a bit more power or were more
Ah,
watched. Like now everything is nationalized basically, or like even,
yeah.
people just go to the internet and watch news from wherever. They don't like
Yeah.
wake up to tune into their local,
Station.
WFSL TV station.
Yeah.
So I think back then local stations would actually seek interesting stuff to put on the air more because they were more of
Oh.
household staples, to get people to watch
Yeah.
and everything. So the animation company that made Inspector Gadget, they entered this distribution deal that just like kind of shopped them out to local stations. So if Cincinnati had
Oh.
a local TV, like I don't know, let's say WKRC was like a local
Yeah.
TV like institution station. Now it's like an affiliate, whatever. But in
Yeah.
this hypo, right? They would like shop it out to this
Interesting.
one little Cincinnati
Yeah.
station
Like,
and
don't you want to
then
buy it
they
and
would have
show
it.
it?
Sure. You want to
Cool.
try it? Yeah.
Okay.
So like all these random cities across the country would maybe have this show. And I think
Huh.
that's why people today are like, did I have a fever dream about this one cartoon that came on and like no one
Yeah.
else knows about it? But it's
Yes, because it
because
was
like,
only
yeah, it was like this
local.
niche market.
That's
Yeah.
really interesting.
Yeah. So I think that's how it started.
Huh.
And eventually that channel was picked up by like CBS or something like that, or,
Uh-huh.
all the conglomeration started in local media.
Classic.
And so then CBS started broadcasting it on like their Saturday morning cartoon lineup from 1991 to 92. And then eventually
Interesting.
Nickelodeon started broadcasting it like in 1987 to 1992, and then
Uh-huh.
1996 to 2000. So then that's how we came across it,
Right, when
probably
it
was from
became like
Nickelodeon and
national.
CBS. But we got to think good old Lansing, Michigan.
Wow, who
For
knew? For
who
saying
knew?
yes to this little can-do show.
Exactly. Thank you. Which also, I think the show is French, by the way, too. So, like, they really kind of took a
Wow.
chance on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Like the
Lansing,
animation
Michigan's so
studio was
cultured.
French. Who knew? In
Who knew?
1982, who knew?
Interesting.
So, yes, in the show, Gadget, like I said, he is a police inspector. And the reason his name is Gadget is because he has been, um, I guess perhaps, and we'll talk about this more, do some wild speculation, but I guess we can say it's like he's been surgically enhanced with various bionic gadgets that are now
Uh-huh.
built into his body, a la RoboCop or like the
Yep.
$6 Million Man, which was, I think, also around in like the early 80s. So
Oh,
probably
there
was
was a theme.
inspiring or inspired that exactly. And Gadget is sent on missions all across the world and throughout Metro City to defeat his nemesis, the vicious Dr. Claw, who is the leader of the organization, the evil organization MAD, which they obviously call MAD,
Mad.
and which stands for mean and dirty. Um,
You know what? They know who they are. They're
they,
good at
they they're
branding.
honest and upfront about it.
Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. And Dr. Claw is usually joined by his cat sidekick slash just pet cat, Mad Cat.
Okay.
Yeah, and also I will say Dr. Claw, we never actually see this character. You only hear him and like
Okay,
see him from behind.
that's very comforting because I was just sitting here trying to be like, Dr. Claw.
Yeah,
Can't
you're like, what does he
picture this
look
guy.
like?
Okay, because I
But
never
he
saw
basically
him.
just has like a robotic voice whenever he talks,
Okay,
kind
cool.
of. And you just see kind of he has like a metallic looking glove on and he's always like petting
Petting the
Mad
cat.
Cat in his lap, but you
Cool.
never see his face. Yeah.
Okay.
And Inspector Gadget, of course, though, our hero, our star of the show, he,
Mhm.
on the other hand, he's kind of tall, lanky guy. He has like a long, big nose, and he wears a gray trench coat and a fedora with a blue necktie, and has shaggy black hair kind of hanging out from underneath the back of his hat.
Mhm.
And interestingly, in the pilot episode, the very first episode that came out of
Uh-huh.
Inspector Gadget, he originally had a big, like, thick mustache too.
Uh-huh.
But the production company, they got like a letter from MGM Studios, who
Uh-oh.
I think at this point owned the Pink Panther, and said,
Oh, they
like,
were like,
hey, yep,
there's there's
he
only
looks too
one
much like
mustached
Inspector Clouseau.
inspector. Yeah. It's
Exactly.
not big enough for the both of us.
So they took that out. One of us is going to have to change, and it's not us. So
That's funny.
our
Also very
lawyer
funny
said
that
so.
both French of like, isn't Inspector
Yeah,
Clouseau French? What's
yeah,
going on there?
yeah.
What's
I
happening?
think so. Yeah. So weird that I don't
Interesting.
know. Yeah, it's
Okay.
a stereotype, I guess, but maybe that's a true one. Because Pink
Yeah.
Panther, the inspector was French, but was
Yeah.
the show
I
wasn't
don't think
French
the show is
though.
French, but I
Yeah, but
associate
the
Inspector
inspector
Clouseau
was.
with being French.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
he
don't
is. So
know.
it's like Americans assume that French people have mustaches and
And
put
then
it
the
in
French
cartoons.
show made
French
Inspector Gadget
people
with
put it, yeah, and then they're like, and then Americans are like, no, we did it first.
it's our stereotype against you. You don't get to confirm it.
You can't make
Shave
fun of
it.
yourselves. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
only make fun of you. So shave it. They like leave the shaving stubbles
Yeah.
on the upper
It's a little
lip.
stubbly.
Yeah. So, yes. And I also just thought that was funny since I just talked about Pink Panther
Yep.
during our Thanksgiving arc. So, yeah. Well, Inspector Gadget, as a character, obviously, he believes that he's like this very talented and intelligent secret agent, right? And
Hmm.
he's very brave, he's very courageous, he's willing to take risks, and he thinks that he's always diving headfirst into a mystery and like that he's the
Hmm.
best at his job, right? Well, in reality, it actually is his niece, Penny,
Oh, yep.
and his pet dog, Brain, who solve literally every single mystery and crime in the show.
Uh-huh.
And Penny, so I don't know how old she is, but she's a very young girl. She can't be older than 10. Like, I'm gonna guess she's 8 or
Okay.
9 years old, maybe. She's, got blonde pigtails that she wears. Very, very sweet little girl. And as it turns out, she is like an extremely gifted detective despite her young
Hmm.
age, and secretly operates behind the scenes during all of these
Amazing.
investigations to thwart Mad's evil plots and to also make sure that her uncle Gadget remains out of harm's way.
It doesn't die.
Um, yeah, like no, well, I think that this you'll see today, this Christmas episode is like pretty much a perfect encapsulation of like the
Ah,
plot structure of every episode
awesome.
of Inspector Gadget. So you'll
Cool.
see like, yeah, he does almost die every episode.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
So
Uh-oh, okay.
so Penny is also very helpfully a tech expert, and she wears this like
Cool.
utility wristwatch that has like a video comms system on
Uh-huh.
it that she uses to communicate with their dog Brain. And she also has
Cool.
this interesting like a book that is a computer that she uses to like
Oh,
research stuff while, they're on
cool.
cases and
She's
investigations.
got an iPad.
And when no, no, no. Oh my God, I'm so glad you said that
Uh-oh.
because I even wrote like, no, 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 this isn't like a Kindle or a tablet. It is a literal book, like a literal book that
Like
you
little
open,
pages.
you flip open, but there's just a computer like embedded in it.
Okay. I mean, that's kind of cool. I bet they
Yeah.
make cases for an iPad that look like that.
That's actually that's what it is. Just a really cool case. Yeah,
Case.
because it doesn't make sense.
She's like,
It's
I don't want anyone to
weird.
steal this. It's the 80s. No one knows what an
Yeah.
iPad is yet. No one,
If they
I
think it's
gotta
a
make it just look like a
book,
book. No one's gonna steal a book.
yeah, no one's gonna want that. So yeah, but that also just speaks to how much of a tech expert she is because like
Right.
what is this crazy thing and
Yeah.
how do you know how to use
Right. It's
this?
1982 when this first aired.
Yeah. That's what they thought. That's what the writers and animators of the show thought the tablet would end up being. They're like, yeah, we're gonna have books that have computer monitors
It's
on
an
every page
e-reader.
or
Well, it means it has to be a
something.
book. What
Exactly.
else do you read?
So, yeah, it doesn't make sense. How? You can't read a plastic and
It's just
glass.
a,
It's not a
what do you
book.
do with that? What are you
What's
gonna
that? They
read?
just cannot compute, pun
Yeah. They can't
intended.
separate the two.
So, yes. So I mentioned that she uses her tech to communicate with their dog Brain.
My dream.
And Brain, he is, of course, the best boy. He is a beagle, by the way.
Oh
So,
my
uh,
God. A
so
biased,
biased.
biased
So,
opinion.
yeah, so biased. And I won't even hide it. Um, so Brain is amazing. He's, like I said, the best boy, and he tends to just shadow Inspector Gadget on these missions, and he
Mm.
directly communicates with Penny, kind of like trying to help her keep tabs on Gadget's safety, and mostly safety, but also
Uh-huh.
whereabouts as they go through these investigations. So like basically he's a babysitter for Gadget, for Penny. Like while Penny is actually out solving the mysteries, she's
Yes, he's
like,
just
okay, Brain,
keeping him in
go
mind.
with Uncle Gadget. Yeah, keep him safe. Like, and call me if
Yeah.
anything happens. Because what Brain does is he has this high-tech collar that also conceals a video communication system that links to Penny's
Amazing.
wristwatch. I don't know if Gadget knows that these two have all this
Have the
stuff.
system.
Like, I think he's
Penny's probably
oblivious
like,
to it.
he can't know.
Kids and their toys, they're so cute,
Yeah.
but like, it's actually a high-tech communication
Right. Spying
system.
device
So,
system
yeah.
happening.
Yeah. And basically, Brain communicates. I describe it as like a combo of courage, the way that Courage the Cowardly Dog
Oh,
communicates, like
okay.
pantomiming and like just kind of jumping up and down and like babbling. But every
Yeah.
now and again, he does like the Scooby-Doo kind of like, roar, 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 like talking with
Yeah,
like
like
just
kind of
R's in front of
words.
his words. Yeah. But it's
Yeah.
more of like the courage way
Okay.
of talking. But Penny understands that. So
Obviously.
she's a genius, obviously.
She's the one who made the system.
That's true. She taught him how to jump and pantomime up and down like
Yes, in
that.
order
She
to tell her.
knows.
Yep.
And lastly, the last character for real of importance in this show and in today's episode is Chief Frank Quimby. And he is Inspector Gadget's short tempered boss and the chief
Mm.
of police in Metro City. And he's basically like a specialist in the use of disguises to kind of
Okay.
meet up with Inspector Gadget in random and public places to like assign him his next mission or like hand
Oh,
him over a message about his next mission or something like
uh-huh.
that. And unfortunately, like I said, Inspector Gadget, he's not the wisest and doesn't pay
Oh,
attention to
no.
detail too terribly well. So he usually ends up um, creating some sort of danger or injury
Good.
for Chief Quimby at one
Oh,
point or another.
injury.
Like, yeah, usually injury because these messages that Quimby is giving to Inspector Gadget are always
Uh-huh.
like these are set to self-destruct like in 5 seconds or something.
Ah,
And
okay.
Inspector Gadget will almost always just like throw it back at
It doesn't
Quimby like
handle.
accidentally and it just like explodes
It's pretty funny,
like every
actually.
single time.
That's a good trope.
Yes.
I like
Yes.
that.
And so today's mission, the Christmas mission that we're all
The
excited to
Christmas
hear
mission.
about here
Yes.
on Saturday Morning Mysteries, the mission that Chief Quimby assigns to Inspector Gadget today is to investigate a series of attempted attacks on none other than Santa Claus himself that
Oh,
they believe have been carried out by MAD. Yep, they're
okay.
going straight to the source and they're like, all right, you know what? We're not
This
just
is
going
how
to
we ruin
like
Christmas.
terrorize malls and haunt, families, steal from them. We're just going to like attack Santa. Why not?
Yeah, and I guess my immediate question is this isn't a mall Santa, this is the
The
Saint Nick.
Santa.
Okay.
The Santa. And I'm glad you brought that up because no, the mall Santa that we see is actually Chief Quimby himself. He's dressed as the mall Santa, and Gadget is like sitting on his lap reading off his wish list to him because Gadget believes in Santa still. Um, and equally hilariously, as the chief is explaining all of the details of the mission to Gadget, Penny and Brain are just kind of standing behind them, eavesdropping and like gathering all of the background information. Like, oh, what is he saying? Okay, got
Interesting.
it. Nice. We're
Yeah.
going to the North Pole, you say.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good.
They're the
Santa's
ones who
under
brought
attack, you
Gadget to the
say.
mall so he could meet Santa.
Exactly.
That's all he wanted
Exactly.
today. And this child brought him
Yes.
there. Not for her, for him.
And nope. And Penny and Brain are actually the ones that are supposed to be talking to Chief Quimby,
Yeah.
but Gadget won't get out of
Yes.
his
My
lap.
list isn't done yet.
Yeah. So Gadget, Penny, and Brain hop into their plane and make their way out to the North Pole. And when they arrive there, everything is pretty much as can be expected, right? Because I think it's Christmas Eve at this point, and
Okay.
Santa's workshop is bustling. The elves are
Yeah.
hustling to assemble the final gifts. They're manning the conveyor belts, and they're starting to load things up onto the sleigh for the big night. But Penny in particular, not really Gadget, but Penny feels like something's off, like something doesn't seem quite
Okay.
right amidst all of this hustling and bustling. She notices that the elves, even though they're super busy working to the bone, they seem to lack that jolly cheer and happiness that we all know
Hmm.
elves
Those
for,
are supposed to
right?
have. Yeah.
Yeah, and rather they're acting almost mechanical and drone-like,
Oh,
like they're
okay.
just cogs in the very conveyor belts that they're over there
Uh-oh.
manning. It's it's starting to look like labor violations. It's
We
starting to
all end up
look
there one
like
day.
employment law violations. It's starting to look like Santa
These
may
elves need to
have some
unionize.
lawsuits on his hands. Yes. So Gadget tells Penny and Brain to sit tight. Well, he meets with Santa to begin the investigation, to show him his badge and everything and
Okay.
explain why he's there. And he assures Penny that they'll be out of there in no time and that they'll be able to get back home in time for Christmas. Because at first, so I think Gadget feels like Penny is upset that they're working or that Gadget is working. He
On
doesn't know
Christmas
that
Eve.
Penny is actually doing the job, but that Gadget is
Yeah.
working on Christmas and that she wants to be home. But Penny's like,
She fucking love
this
this.
is we're in the North fucking Pole. At Santa's workshop is the only place that would be better to be at on Christmas than at
Right. I'm
home.
at the
Like,
source right now.
yeah, literally feed it to me. Give me
Yeah.
my gifts.
I
They're
could
right
take any of
here.
these presents right now.
Right. So again, Gadget being just a little oblivious to something.
Yep.
So yes, Penny, she's super excited. She's like, yeah, I'll gladly wait around here in this massive toy shop with all of these
Right.
cute, adorable elves.
It's
And so
literally my
Santa's,
dream.
yeah, this is the dream Christmas Eve scenario.
Yep.
So Santa's like office, I guess you could call it, is located in kind of like a crow's nest type of station
Okay.
situation where it's up above everything else in the warehouse or workshop, whatever, near the
Uh-huh.
ceiling. And so Gadget, he just like extends his legs. 'Cause again, he's extendable, which
Biotic.
how is he bionic? Well, whatever. Put a pin in that. So he uses his extendable mechanic legs to rise up to the office and he shows his badge off to good old Saint Nick. And he announces himself and basically is like, hey, here's the warrant for this search for this investigation. Like, I wish he actually had a physical one. That'd be amazing. But that's
Santa's
basically what he's doing.
immediately
Like,
like, "Are you here for labor laws?" I mean,
is it for the
what?
labor
Why
stuff?
would I say that?
Yeah.
Forget I
It's like,
said that.
I got rid of those rabid reindeer. I told you. Back.
I check everyone's age now. I know they're short, but oh, that's not what you're here for. Oh,
Yeah.
just forget I said anything.
So, yes, he announces, like, for whatever reason, the chief of the police believes that there's some sort of plot to kidnap you or to attack you by Dr.
Uh,
Claw. So we're here to investigate. And he asks Santa if he can just take a quick look-see around. You know, he wants to just check out the workshop and the factory for any signs of the evil plot and any signs of mad agents or anything.
mhm.
And Santa, he does seem a little bit off when we hear him start talking,
Okay.
particularly in the voice. But maybe, maybe he's coming down with a cold. It's a busy
He's
season. He's
overworking.
working. Yeah, he didn't have time to rest. But he says in a very deep, raspy, drawn out, almost robotic voice,
Oh
if you
no.
will, that he's like, sure, absolutely. I'll get my elves right on it. I'll have some meet you down there and show you around.
Uh-huh.
And then he thanks Gadget for coming, and Gadget thanks him in return, and he makes his way back down. Gadget does back down to the
Okay.
workshop floor. And meanwhile, down there, Penny, she's been introducing herself to some of the elves, herself and Brain, and she tries to make some small talk with one of them,
Mm.
asking them questions about Santa and just like how
Mm.
how how is it working here with them?
Uh-huh.
Which the elves probably are like, ah, you're a narc, aren't you?
Exactly. I was
It's
like,
like,
she's
so
an agent of the boss.
exactly. Any stories you want to share
You
about
want to tell
Santa?
any
It's
complaints?
okay. It's okay. This is safe. We won't tell him.
I'm here to help you, help get you out.
I'm on your side. I'm fighting for you.
This is also so fucked up, but I'm also like, oh no, she's like an ICE agent. Like, oh, how'd you get working here? And they're like, well, I'm not saying shit to
hmm
you.
hmm And Santa's up there right now being grilled by another one.
Yes,
Like,
really
so
sweating.
just gonna do some investigations around your
Can I
workshop here.
submit some of
Hopefully, I
that
don't find any
paperwork?
secret quarters for any workers or anything in here. Might
Because
want to see some
yeah,
paperwork for those
employee
elves.
files. Yeah,
Yeah,
they're all
interesting.
sweating.
Yeah,
Beads of
sweating
oil.
hard.
Yeah, these little robots, perhaps. Okay.
So rather though than responding to Penny's question, trying to like get the tea on what it's like living and working with Santa Claus,
Uh,
the elf, I mean, we kind of called it. He's not responding,
he knows.
but not he knows, but not in like a not in like an obstinate way. It's not like
Oh,
he's,
okay.
crossing his hands. In kind of a scary, creepier way. He just
Oh,
blankly stares at Penny and Brain and remains motionless, just looking like under some sort of spell or under some
okay.
sort of daze.
Ugh.
And Brain even tries to like, scare him or like try to get him to move, kind
Uh-huh.
of push him a little bit, but the elf just stands there still motionless,
Ew.
blankly, like 1,000 yards staring them straight in the eyes. And Penny obviously feels that the vibes are off in this
This is neither holly nor
scenario.
jolly.
Nor jolly. This is very far from both. And so she pulls herself and Brain as far away from this elf as quickly as possible while
Correct.
still being like, thank you, nice meeting you.
Just
Okay,
backing away,
bye.
not turning
Yes.
her back on him.
Not turning her back at all. Literally continues facing him as she backs away.
Smart.
And after she gets a safe distance from this elf, she looks up towards the crow nest to see what her Uncle Gadget is up to up there. And although she is on the ground kind of far away from the crow's nest, she has, she's got young eyes and she's a good detective. She's a super sleuth. And she
Uh-huh.
can see from the ground what unfortunately Inspector Gadget could not see from 6 inches in front of him.
Oh
Maybe not
God.
six. That's kind of close. That would be like he's going in to get Santa.
He
Maybe
doesn't
like
really
a
love
foot or
Santa.
two. Yeah. But what Penny sees is that this Santa Claus doesn't look like Santa Claus at all. And
Hmm.
she squints her eyes a little bit more and realizes that this Santa Claus is actually none other than Dr. Claw
Oh, himself.
himself. It's not just a
Okay.
mad agent, it is Dr. Claw himself.
Okay.
So she runs over to her Uncle Gadget, who is now returned from speaking with Santa Claus,
Uh-huh.
and she
Santa
tries to tell him what
Claus.
flaws. I did put that in there somewhere in the script.
Good.
Yeah, we both got this. Good, good, good. And she tries to tell him what she thinks she saw up there. But before she can really get a word in edgewise, Gadget is quickly scooped away or swooped away by some elves who have been instructed by Santa Claus
Claus.
to, and tour or show him through the workshop so that he can inspect everything to make sure
Okay.
everything's good to go. And the reason they're doing this so quickly is again because it's Christmas Eve, and Gadget promised Santa that he would get it done quickly to get out of Santa's hair so that he could get on his way with delivering gifts.
Okay.
So while Gadget is being taken throughout the workshop by these elves, Penny decides to go look for clues on her own to get to the bottom of all of this. But she, of course, tells Brain to go and follow her Uncle Gadget and keep an eye on him in case, as he always does, he runs into any danger during this inspection.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally walking into the lion's den.
He is.
With this. Yeah, they're guiding him to his death, and he's going very willingly.
Yep. And that is, the first stop on this tour of the workshop is, well, to Gadget, it's a tour of the conveyor belt, where they assemble all the gifts and everything and put everything together. But, I guess that he really is so committed to getting to the bottom of this investigation that he's like, you know what, boys, little elves, get me all up in there. I got to really see how this thing works. I really want to see how this moving conveyor belt and massive machinery.
First.
No. Keep it running. I want it to be an immersive investigation and inspection. Yes, I want to feel like one of these toys on here.
Interesting that this was his choice.
Kind of. It kind of was. It was like the elves put him on the conveyor belt, and then he was like, oh, this is a great idea, actually, guys. Yeah, like you're so good at investigating.
The elves just look at each other. They're like, I got like ropes in their hands. They thought they're going to have to tie him down. They're like, that was easier than we thought.
Yeah, this is easy. Awesome. Okay. So, yes, so he goes through this conveyor belt. It is very dangerous. And obviously, he runs into a lot of different massive like mechanized components of it that almost kill him, and that Brain is like last minute saving him from, etc., etc.
Oh boy.
But after that, Gadget just brushes it off like, okay, everything looks good. I think that was a good search of that. So like he's just totally oblivious. He's just entirely oblivious to everything and all danger.
Look, I'm not a manufacturer. I don't know how these like pieces of equipment are supposed to act, but they seemed effective.
But it worked because I almost died like 20 times, so it must be working. Right? Yeah. So he is he's pleased by what he sees on this conveyor belt. Okay. And he's like, all right, good, that checks out. So now that the factory is looking good, how about you say I take in inspect the living quarters, Santa? Meaning, like, let me go in your house and like check out in there, see if anyone's hiding out or whatever in there. And Santa, again, graciously allows this. But, Santa, he's a busy man. Like I said, it's Christmas Eve. So he's still up in his office. So instead of coming all the way down there and like, unlocking the doors to everything and getting him into his house, Santa just instead from the Santa Claus, from the comfort of his crow's nest office, he just kind of like starts controlling this crane, and he steers it right over top of Inspector Gadget, picks him up with the crane, and drops him down into what looks like a manhole down beneath the workshop that leads down to a frozen cave underground.
Okay. Does Inspector Gadget think this is where he lives?
I think so, or maybe he close to it. Maybe it's hard to get into Inspector Gadget's head. Okay, he's a bionic man, Grace. I'm starting to think that they replaced his brain with like a nut or bolt or like something. I don't know.
Right, they definitely took out the wrong part.
It's hard to say. So Brain, who is adorably dressed as an elf to like act as if he's undercover, he's been shadowing Gadget. So cute. Such a good boy. He panics when he sees Gadget fall down this manhole trap door, of course. And he panics even more as he watches the elves quickly close the manhole back behind them and run away from it.
Oh, Their hands are clean.
Seemingly trapping Gadget below. Saying that out loud, I didn't think of this when watching it, but saying that out loud, it makes me think of like some Willy Wonka type shit, like where the
Yes,
Oompa
this
Loompas,
whole time.
yeah,
This whole time it's
like the
like
way that they do it too. Yeah.
the whole time I've been thinking of like spoofs of Willy Wonka where it's like
Mhm.
you're actually gonna die when you're in the chocolate
Yeah.
factory for sure. And
In
these are
this
the Oompa
case,
Loompas. Yeah. But
yes.
yes, that the whole time I've been from the jump, I was like, oh, this is the bad version of Willy
This is
Wonka, where
this
it's
is the
purposefully
even
trying to kill you,
darker.
not accidentally trying to kill you.
Yeah, yeah, not just
Also,
like negligently.
I'm just picturing Reese in an elf costume.
Oh,
Your
Beagle, we
beagle.
should get her one for this year.
She'd be
Yeah.
like, I'm too old for this shit.
Yeah, she would. She would look at us like, take this off of me right now, and we
Yeah,
would
you
do
guys
it
are
because
kidding me.
she's the queen of the castle. Yes.
Very true.
So Brain, after panicking, after seeing the elves just kind of like dance away from trapping Inspector Gadget down in
She's like
this
the Oompa Loompas,
cave,
they dance and sing
just like
away.
exactly. He peeks his head or his eyes kind of through the little like holes of the manhole cover
Yeah.
to see what the hell Gadget just fell down into, but he can't quite get a good eye on things because I guess it's like kind of dark down there and
Uh,
it's a really deep hole. So so he's a
great.
little worried, but he does hear Gadget moving about and
Okay.
talking down there to someone. And so
Okay.
down in the cave, we see that Gadget comes across another Santa Claus. One
Ah.
hmm One who seems perhaps a bit hollier and jollier than
Oh,
the
okay.
other.
Some
One with
rosy
a
cheeks.
full-bellied laugh, exactly, the plumpiest, rosiest cheeks you ever saw.
Amazing.
And this Santa, he immediately recognizes Inspector Gadget. He's like, "Oh my God, Inspector Gadget, I'm so glad you're here. Thank goodness." But Inspector Gadget, no, 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 he cuts through the shit and he places the Santa under arrest immediately.
Why?
Believing that this Santa is the mad agent who is hiding down in the shadows in this little cave, waiting for his
I
opportunity to take
see.
down Santa Claus
He's
and
like,
ruin Christmas.
this is not an ice prison. I see. Got
Uh-uh.
it.
No, this is just some hidden cave that he fell down into. I guess Santa forgot to show him the living quarters, and he'll get to that later. So for now,
Yeah.
yeah, he's just inspecting this cave down here.
Okay. Great. And found
Or
the
Santa just got the
imposter.
wires crossed. Yes, and so
Okay.
now he's found the imposter Santa down there and the imposter reindeer, who are
Oh
actually
no.
all just mad agents and costumes.
Wow. Extensive.
Yes, Mad must be known for some crazy shit because this all seems very reasonable to Inspector
Does
Gadget.
he
Like he's like, yeah,
arrest the reindeer?
obviously. He does not. He
Okay. He
doesn't. I
like
don't think he has
corrals
enough cuffs,
them.
but he is like
Yeah. That's
making
why I
sure
was
they're
like,
staying, like, you guys all stay here.
okay. Okay.
So Santa is obviously, or Santa, maybe,
If you
according to
will.
Inspector Gadget, is very confused. And he assures Gadget that he is the real Santa. But Gadget, he's like, you can't fool me. Or he's like, he thinks he can't fool him.
Well,
And he presses Santa even harder, trying to get him to crack and confess his allegiance to Mad and to confess that he's here to
okay.
wreak havoc on Christmas and to ruin Christmas for all boys and girls across the world.
Hmm.
But Santa doesn't crack, and he just remains confused because,
Yep.
as far as he knows, he is Santa. As far as Santa knows, he's
He
Santa.
is Santa.
But regardless, Inspector Gadget, he celebrates the quick resolution of the crime and he prepares to wrap it all up and head back home in time for Christmas. He,
Okay.
handcuffs Santa, puts him in the corner, and is like, all right, let's get on out of here. So he extends his head back up to the top of the manhole and calls for an elf to come help him and that, tell the elf that he's found the fake Santa Claus.
Okay.
And so one comes over and Gadget tells him to go get Santa Claus, Santa Claw,
Claw.
and tell him that everything's been solved. And this elf that Gadget called over actually happens to still be Brain, like I said, and his
Oh my
costume.
God.
His costume is so good that Gadget can't even recognize him.
Even if it was bad, he
And
probably couldn't recognize him.
he still wouldn't have recognized him. No, he would have
Yeah.
just thought, like, who is this stuffed dog
Well, that's a
over here
four-legged elf.
coming to,
Okay.
yeah. So Brain, he listens to Gadget's message and he runs off to go tell Santa. But he looks down there and he actually sees what has happened and like he's been keeping his ear on things. So Brain actually
Uh-huh.
knows what's going on. And meanwhile, in her investigation back on the ground floor,
Mm.
Penny begins to notice that the elves are still in this like weird, joyless, drone-like state, and that they appear to be sabotaging the mini toys that they are
Oh,
creating.
okay.
And like sabotaging Santa's sleigh. Like she's kind of noticing a lot of things
Oh.
are going weird here. And so she starts to if I can use
Uh-huh. She sure
words,
does.
she does this, she does that all the time. She starts to deduce that the elves are under some sort of mind control carried out by Dr. Claw,
Okay.
and that they're being instructed to sabotage Christmas so that kids no longer trust Santa,
Mm.
which the ultimate crime. Dun, dun,
I mean,
dun.
I was gonna say
How
the
dare
second
you?
she walked in and there was the toys being sabotaged, I was like, this child is gonna be like, this is cross the line.
No, no, no. How
Kidnapping,
dare they?
fine. The toys could still get
Fine.
to me. The sleigh, buy a new one. My
Fine.
presents, I've
Sabotage?
drawn the line.
Oh, you mean it's gonna break as soon as I play with it? Oh, no, 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 no. This means war.
Not on my
This
watch.
means war. So at this point, Penny calls Brain so that she can update him on everything. And Brain, who is, he's still making his way up to Santa's office to go
Mhm.
relay the message, I guess, maybe. And Penny tells Brain what she thinks is going on.
Mm.
Like, everything I just explained. The elves, they're being hypnotized
Yeah.
or brain controlled. They're trying to ruin Christmas under the order of Dr. Claw. And so Brain then updates her, on the other hand, of everything that's going on with
Yes.
Uncle Gadget, which
Just a
in
couple little
hindsight, it's like,
things.
ooh, Penny, your investigation's going a lot better than ours.
Yeah, also
So
Brain should have maybe started the breakdown of what's been going on.
bad news first, right?
Yeah, this seems a little more pressing than toy being
Yeah.
ruined.
Yeah. So here's what Brain tells Penny. He's like, the elves tried to mangle Uncle Gadget in the toy machine.
Okay.
And Penny's like, oh, that's bad. But then Brain's like, oh, but he escaped, so that's fine. And then
Uh-huh.
Penny's like, oh, okay, good, that's good.
Okay,
And
you're
then
so you're
Brain
fine.
says, but hold on. Then Brain says, now Uncle Gadget's in a jail cell. Penny's like, oh no, that's
That's
bad.
bad.
Brain's like, but he did find the real Santa Claus down there. And he's like, oh, that's good.
And then
Brain is like, but he arrested him.
oh, that's
And Penny's
bad.
like, oh, that's really bad. What no, what now? Like, now what?
Let's end
And
on a good
so
note.
no, that's unfortunately
There
it.
is
That's the
none.
end of it.
Yeah, there's no
And
good note here.
as if this wasn't enough to drop onto Penny's plate, who again, she's been doing the bulk of the investigation. She's the only
And
one who
she's
knows what is
10.
actually, she's, if that even. Yeah. If that. Some elves overhear her plotting and talking on this, video device, whatever, with
Uh-huh.
Brain, and hear her talking about, Dr. Claw being behind everything. And so they trap her, these elves, they trap her in a
Oh,
giant jack in the box and they haul the toy, like they close
yeah.
the box and they haul the toy way back to the back of this room filled with a bunch
Oh,
of new toys, which we
okay.
later find out is the room where these mind controlled elves have been hiding all of the real toys as they
Mm,
make broken, sabotaged ones in the workshop.
got it.
And so let's talk a bit about what this whole plot that Penny has
Is
uncovered, what
uncovering.
all this is. What is Dr.
Yes.
Claw up to here? Because he does give us a villain monologue at one point in the
Hell yeah.
episode.
Cool.
And we learn that Dr. Claw, he maybe didn't have the best childhood growing up either. It's very
Uh,
similar to your last episode, right? Where it's like, which
yep.
one was it? family that, was really, really well off, but like kind of just like kicked him to the side and didn't really give him any meaningful
Yeah.
gift for Christmas, or family that was really, really poor and like did everything they could to just give him whatever they could afford, but it wasn't the thing that he really
Ah,
wanted, like that kind of
okay.
thing.
Yes.
Because we learned that when Dr. Claw was a wee baby claw, as he describes him, so a little baby claw, which
Uh-huh.
it sounds cute, but we don't know what Dr. Claw looks like. So I don't know, like, is it like a
Yeah.
baby monster? I don't
Yeah, I
know.
was
He could
gonna
be a
say,
monster.
why were you called Claw as a baby? Is that when the nickname
Yeah.
started? Not good.
But like baby Claw, oh, who knows? But when he was a wee baby, he loved Christmas. He was so excited for it every
Oh.
year. In one year, he wanted nothing more than a dirty trick sled. This thing, it looked pretty expensive.
Uh-huh.
And so that's why it's my guess that his family was probably poor and just
Yeah,
couldn't
I
afford
couldn't get
it.
what he wanted.
Exactly. And he just had all the faith and trust in Santa that, you know what, my family's
Mm.
poor, but like I'm a good wee baby claw. I've been a good boy.
Nice
I
baby
deserve it
Claw.
this year. Like Santa's real and he will bring me what I've asked for,
Ah,
right?
uh-huh.
But that year, Santa didn't deliver. He didn't get that dirty trick sled. And it
Okay.
has haunted Dr. Claw to this day
Wow.
because he carries the page of the like
Oh my
catalog
God.
magazine
That had the
that trick
sled.
sled came out. He keeps it folded up and in his chest
Wow.
pocket. And he
Wow.
pulls that shit out and he's looking at it and he crumbles it back up and puts it in his pocket. And he says, that
No.
he is going to make all of the children around the world, all of the kids around the world lose trust in Santa,
Just like he did.
just as he lost trust in Santa that year that he did not get a
Ah.
sled. And he's going to do it by delivering all broken toys, all sabotage toys to these little kids so that then
Mm.
when they wake up on Christmas morning, ready to play with their toys, everything just breaks right in front of their faces. And then
Mm.
they blame Santa.
Ah. It sounds like
And
this kid,
yeah,
that baby Claw was just ungrateful. Like he
yeah,
didn't realize his parents worked
honestly,
really hard to get
yeah,
him
or that they were
anything.
poor. Exactly.
Yeah, like
Or maybe
anything
he wasn't
is
actually as
great.
good as he thought he was.
Yeah,
Maybe
maybe.
he's like a sociopath.
Right, because I guess we've just confirmed in this universe Santa is real. So Santa
Yeah,
chose not to get him
that's
that toy.
exactly like that's what I was going to
Yeah,
say. Like we
that
know
was like,
Santa's real, so there's a reason why he didn't get that toy because
yeah, it
all
was a
these other kids are
deliberate
getting their toys.
choice. Yeah,
So like me thinks Claw was just a badass and didn't get
yeah,
his toy because he didn't deserve it.
yeah, exactly.
Yep.
You just weren't on the nice list, it sounds like.
Yeah, you were naughty. So
Yep,
sorry, but not sorry.
yeah, you kissed
And
yourself.
to kill two birds with one stone here, Claw is like, in addition to ruining Christmas, I knew that Inspector Gadget would be sent to investigate and,
Ah,
protect Santa Claus. So I also get to eliminate Inspector Gadget in the process of
okay.
ruining Christmas and destroying Santa's
All
reputation
his dreams coming true.
all at once. And
Okay.
so somehow, I don't know how, but Dr. Claw, again, he's an evil mastermind, and Mad
Mhm.
is this well-established entity of, terrorism, I suppose, in this fictional universe. But he was somehow able to like disrupt the supply chain going into the North Pole. He
Damn. All right.
installed mind control devices into the elves' hats. So like
Oh,
you see like they have like the little jingle balls on top of
uh-huh.
their little
Little
pointed
pointy
hats, and
hats.
that is where the mind control device is.
Oh, all
And so
right. It's
he's
very
like
smart.
remote controlling that into, making the elves do whatever he wants them to do.
Uh-huh.
And he also had to at some point become like familiar with the warehouse layout and everything. So
Yeah, this is
this is
extensive.
a deep plot. Yeah,
He's been
this was
working for a
extensive.
while on this, it
He
sounds
started
like.
planning immediately after last Christmas.
Right.
He was
He
like,
started planning as soon as he didn't get that sled.
exactly. It's like
Like,
the first step is to find the North Pole. The second step is
yeah,
to infiltrate the supply chain. And then after
that probably
that,
took
we'll
a while.
familiarize.
Yeah.
Yes, that was years, decades, perhaps even.
Yeah, this is impressive,
So
honestly.
it's an extensive plan, truly. And I mean,
It seems to be
good
working.
for him. Yeah, I was gonna say good for him because I guess it's working.
Yeah.
So hey, but you know what? you know what every big evil terrorist supervillain's greatest nemesis and foe is?
An
Little
8-year-old
8-year-old blonde
girl
girl and her beagle.
who has who's had her presence threatened.
Yes.
You
Most importantly,
fucked with her
it's not just
Christmas
any
present.
8-year-old girl.
Hell hath no fury like this
And
8-year-old girl.
yes. So back to all of that, all of Penny and
Hmm.
Brain trying to save the day and in this horrible plot by Dr. Claw.
Hmm.
Brain, he's made it up to the office now and he's trying to sneak in. And he gets in there and he sees that Santa
Aw.
Claw, is in there accompanied by his pet reindeer, Mad Cat,
Oh my God, does it have like little
aka
reindeer antlers or something?
yes,
Wow, that's fucking
yeah, it's just
cute.
Mad Cat with it. It's adorable, actually. And so Brian sneaks, he's able to sneak the keys to the underground cave from out of the office
Oh,
and
good
run
boy.
back down to go save Gadget. But unfortunately for Brain, did I say Brian before? I feel like I did.
Did, but
I
I
don't
wasn't
know.
gonna call you out on
Right.
it.
Okay. Good. Anyway, my brain read Brian. And
Yep.
so, but unfortunately for Brain, Mad Cat spots him as he's trying to leave the
Ah,
office. And Claw tells Mad Cat to go after him. So Claw
okay.
now knows that Penny and Brain are
They're on to
about to
him.
thwart his plan. But before Mad Cat can catch up, Brain, he's out of there. And he's already plotting to break Inspector Gadget and Santa out to safety. So he's
Mhm.
like, this is hilarious. Brain is badass, okay? He's such a good boy.
Okay.
When he gets back down to the underground cave, we see that he has changed into a prison guard's uniform,
Okay.
aka I believe that he somehow subdued a prison guard and stole his
We
outfit
got a badass beagle on our hands.
because I do believe that there are guards in this building
Oh
too.
yeah, for sure.
And when he gets down there, Inspector Gadget sees him and he's like, "Oh, good, a prison guard. Help out." So like, yeah, I'm pretty sure there are other
Like a
guards
real
there.
uniform. Yeah.
So Brain absolutely like attacked a
Oh
guard
my
and like
God. A
knocked him
good
out
boy.
or like tied him up. It's such a good boy. He's the
Such a good
best. He
boy.
gets all the
That,
treats after
that's
this.
so funny.
Yes. But when he gets down there, unfortunately, he sees Inspector Gadget torturing Santa Claus, still trying to get a confession out
Oh
of
no.
him.
This is going to be, even if he confessed, this big old coerced confession for sure.
Yeah,
It's
he's
not
got to get at
great.
least a little bit of coal for a little bit to like
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of
It's not going
balance
to hold up
that.
in court.
But Brain immediately jumps in to save Santa and he tries to stop Gadget. But Gadget at this point, he still doesn't recognize his own dog and he confuses Brain for an actual security guard, kind of like I
Okay.
said before. But seeing that he's helping Santa, he
Thinks he's an
accuses the
agent.
guard of also being an inside
Oh
accomplice for
God.
Claw and Mad's
Okay.
conspiracy. So Gadget at this point uses a lasso to tie Santa and the guard,
Oh
aka Brain,
no.
together and keep them captive down in this underground like ice jail cell
Uh-huh.
while he goes and tells the real Santa himself
Santa. Yep.
about all of this. Yes, Santa,
Great.
who Gadget thinks is the real
Is
Santa.
Santa.
Yeah.
Yep.
So Penny, meanwhile, has thankfully broken out of this Jack in the Box. She's the only one who seems able to do anything
Anything.
ever in
You know
this
what?
show.
Breen was doing a great job too.
He was, yeah, he was. True, true. It's just I wish he could talk because if he could just say like two
Yes.
words, although I don't know, I don't think there's any helping Inspector Gadget. He is like
No, I can't
woefully
even recognize this was
stupid.
his
Yeah.
dog.
Yes. So Penny, though, she has thankfully broken out of the Jack in Box
Good.
and she's learned through her computer book thing
Uh-huh.
how Claw was able to carry out this plot,
Oh, okay.
aka how I talked about earlier, how he was able to
Yes.
mind control the elves. I think somehow maybe she got surveillance footage or
She's hacking that
something. Like
system.
somehow she sees footage of these elves being like brain
Uh-huh.
controlled and their light little hat thingies, lighting up.
Uh-huh.
So Gadget, meanwhile, finally finds Santa outside of the workshop, loading up
Okay.
the sleigh with all of the gifts to deliver out to the kids for Christmas
Okay.
Day. But the sleigh looks a little different.
Worse for wear.
For one, there are no reindeer attached to it.
Okay.
Um, Again, because all the reindeer are being held
Imprisoned.
captive. Exactly. But Gadget doesn't know this. So, but it does throw him off. He asks, like, hey, aren't
Yeah.
there supposed to be like some reindeers helping?
Yeah.
And Santa's just like, no, 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 it's fine. I got this. I'll just do it on my own this year.
Okay.
And Gadget then he brushes it off and hands Santa Claus the last bag of toys to be delivered.
Okay.
But Brain and the real Santa, the actual real Santa, have finally managed to untie themselves from the lasso in the cave.
Cool.
And Penny calls Brain and lets him and Santa know that Claw has loaded up the sleigh and is getting ready to take off. So they've got like 2 minutes to freaking get up here and help me stop him. Santa, the real Santa, he gathers all of his reindeer down in that little prison or whatever, and he tells Brain to go up and help Gadget and Penny, and that he'll be up there. Santa will be up there in a minute to meet them once I get all the reindeer together. Once he gets on, I am Santa. No, once Santa gets all the reindeer together. Yes. Now that he's ready to take off in the sleigh, though, Claw is also ready to fully remove Gadget from this whole equation. He's like, all right, this could not be going any better. So I guess
he's like, I nailed this.
Exactly. Time to get going and ruin this holiday for everyone forever. So he orders the elves to capture Inspector Gadget and hold him prisoner in the workshop. And so the elves, they comply, obviously, and they quickly come up to Gadget and they carry him off. But God, Gadget, he's still so stupid. He finds this flattering. Like he thinks that the elves are just being super friendly. Like, they seem to really like me. They're so friendly.
This one hang out. Oh,
wow, yeah. As they're literally carrying him into this workshop and like pulling him apart, like to the point like where he's like his body's
all stretched out.
Like, trying to like pull the pieces of him apart and like
this man is
delusional. He's delusional.
Full delulu.
Yes. So Brain catches up with Penny, and the two make their way to switch off the mind control device controlling the elves.
Right.
And the elves, meanwhile, are in the midst of torturing Gadget. Like I said, literally pulling his body apart, trying to. And Penny and Brain are like last second, like rushing, like we gotta go, like they're about to kill him. What do we do?
Yeah.
And they are able to turn the device off just before Gadget turns into several pieces of himself on the floor.
Great. The last screw coming undone.
Literally, like at the last possible second. And Dr. Claw, he tries to take off in his sleigh, which is actually just a massive black and red jet, like a like plane that has like Santa's actual sleigh is just kind of like hitched onto the back of this like fighter jet.
Like, yeah, I don't need a reindeer. I got this is a reindeer. Yeah, I got that. Pans over.
And Gadget's just like, okay, yeah, looks good.
That makes sense. Yeah, you gotta get places fast. Okie dokie. What are these missiles?
It's all those animal cruelty complaints you've been getting. I understand. You had to modernize.
You had to update.
So the real Santa, though, he springs into badass action right as Dr. Claw is trying to take off. He jumps onto the sleigh as it's getting ready to take off down the runway, and he unhitches it from Claw's jet. And just as the jet reaches the end of the runway, Gadget grabs this like freely flying around like hitching cable, and he ties it around a large candy cane post, preventing the jet from taking off.
Okay.
And so
Gadget has realized at this point what's happened.
No, he still doesn't know what's going on, Grace. He thinks, he like
saw the second Santa and he was like, he's sabotaging. The Santa from the prison is sabotaging the other Santa, he thinks. And so he's like, I gotta save him.
It's like I said, I don't know how it's hard to get into Inspector Gadget's
mindset.
What he says as he is wrapping the hitching thing around this candy cane post is, oh, Santa, I think you dropped something. You're going to want this. So I think that he
is still helping.
He is trying to get the actual like hook. He's
To
like, "Oh, you don't want to lose this hook, Santa. Let me tie it on this candy cane
toss
for
it to
you."
you.
Exactly. But
Okay.
that keeps Santa from taking off. So he still just doesn't know what's happening.
Good thing he's so
Um,
stupid that it just might work. As in, it
and it
accidentally is
does.
stopping
As
him.
in, exactly, he's so stupid that it does work
Yes.
because the jet is now immobile. It's stuck to this candy cane post thing that it's hooked
Yeah.
onto and it can't fly off. And the real Santa then orders his reindeer to break the ice because this whole runway is just like an
Oh,
ice sheet, right?
damn. Uh-huh.
So his reindeers come in and they start stomping on the ice,
Cool.
and it separates off where Dr. Claw is, his jet, from the rest of the
Oh.
runway and like the whole North Pole, like the workshop and
Uh-huh.
everything. So Claw and his jet are just floating down the
There's
icy
a
waters of the
drift.
North Pole, just adrift. And what he describes, Dr. Claw, as the worst Christmas he's ever had.
Wow.
Except, which is maybe true, except he can get out of the jet, unhook the jet from that
Still
candy cane
fly
thing, and then just
away.
fly off. Like, why did they just let him get away?
You're
But it's
not
because Gadget
stopped.
doesn't know what's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
and I
he
guess
doesn't
Santa's
know and
too
he should
good.
have.
Santa's like too nice and too good to like
Yeah, Santa's like, I can
arrest
still
him.
go deliver all of these toys. Like, no
Yeah.
problem. I'm Santa. I don't
He's like, I'm not a
have
police
the
author.
authority. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I don't have
I
the
can't
authority
do
to
a
arrest
citizen's
anyone.
arrest. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't trust that Inspector Gadget will do it properly, so we're just gonna let him
Or
go.
Santa is like, okay, I'll go deliver these presents. Inspector Gadget, you go make the arrest, right?
Yeah, right,
Right?
right.
Why are you still standing? Why do you look mad at me? I am
Yeah,
Santa.
I have a lot of work to get to. Like,
Yeah. No
you
thanks
go
to
do your
you.
job. I'm gonna go do mine.
We have
Yeah.
clear roles here. Why are you just standing there?
Why aren't we doing this? So, yeah, so he gets away. And so Gadget, Penny, and Brain and the elves, they after that, they help Santa Claus get the real sleigh reloaded with
Uh-huh.
all of the real toys and gifts and time for them to be delivered out to the children of the world.
Beautiful.
And I mean, not like at this point, like Santa actually invites them, like all of them, to join him. So Penny and Brain take and Gadget
Oh,
take off with Santa to deliver the gifts. So like
wow.
maybe
Okay.
Santa thought that like maybe Santa was like, "Oh, you guys go arrest him while we start loading up the sleigh." And then once they finish loading up the sleigh, they're like, "Okay, so you guys like got all that taken care of, right? Like everything's good." And then they were like,
And
"Yeah, yeah, sure,
Inspector
like let's
Gadget was
go."
like, yeah, everything's good, thinking he's talking about the sleigh being loaded.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
he's
no,
like,
it's good.
"Everything's in
Look.
tip-top shape, Santa.
Yeah.
We're ready for
None of us
takeoff."
forgot a thing. Looks great. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, they joined him on Christmas Eve and into Christmas morning to
Wow.
deliver all the gifts and the end. That's it.
Yeah, and at this point, Penny's like, okay, so here's my address. We're going there
Yeah.
first, right? With
We
my
go there
presents
first.
on top.
Right.
That's why she doesn't care
Yes.
what happens to Dr. Claw. And then again,
Nah,
Inspector
nah.
just thinks, the gadget just thinks that they were all talking about the same thing this whole time.
This whole time he
Yeah.
doesn't know. He still doesn't know. He's like, "Yeah, you are the real Santa. We kept the fake Santa from ever getting here. He
Yeah.
never came." He like tells the chief, like, "Yeah, the fake Santa never
Wasn't even
came." Because
there.
he never saw both of them at the same place at
They
once.
were never in the same room together.
Yeah. So to him, he's like, "Oh yeah, it was just some weird mix up. Like, I don't
Yeah.
know, it was weird, but
It was seemed really unorganized in there. They need some like
yeah,
HR or something in this department. That's what my real paperwork is going to
something,
be.
something." Or yeah, Penny needs to just like she needs to have a one-on-one with Chief Quimby and be like, "Listen,
I bet she does
I've
afterwards.
re-
They meet at the
I've
bar, like the cop bar
yeah."
afterwards.
She has like a table reserved in the back corner. And
Yeah.
her like Chief Quimby's just sitting there waiting for her. She gets there like, "All right,
She walks in,
here's
her
what
glass of
happened."
milk's already there.
Yeah. Nice and
She's sipping
warm,
out
just the
of.
way she likes it. Yeah. And she's like, "All right, here's what happened.
Yeah,
Here's
exactly.
the
She slams
rundown."
down a
Here's
file,
the file. Like, we got
slides it
everything.
across.
Yeah. But we lost the guy. We're tracing him to this area of the Arctic Sea
I
or
put a tracker
whatever.
on that candy cane.
Yeah.
It's like a little blip happening
Because
on her radar.
there's no way Chief Quimby, like, is oblivious to the
believes.
fact that Penny is the one doing all the work here. Like, he's talked to Inspector Gadget. He knows there's no way Inspector
but
Gadget's
he's
solving
like,
these crimes.
look, labor laws. I can't just hire this 8-year-old.
She's a kid. She's a genius. But like, yeah, we can't just have
if I
her
keep
on
you
our
on the payroll, Gadget, that means
Exactly.
she'll come along. And you look cool. You're bionic man. So people will ask
Yeah, we
less
put a lot of
questions
money in
about
turning you
you.
into a bionic
Yeah.
man.
People are uncomfortable to ask questions about you, so no one's going to ask who this niece of yours is as she does
Yeah.
all the work.
Yes, which like brings us to the wild speculation of it all. And or maybe, I don't know, maybe we should plan to cover this show one day because I feel
I
like
think we should cover the show.
there's so much wild speculation with like, okay, why does
what is this
niece live? Why does Penny live with Gadget? Like, or why is she always there with Gadget? Why is he her primary custodian or like her guardian? Why is he a bionic man?
Yes, that's maybe the first question, Alexis.
That's the first question. It is the first question. It absolutely is, because something horrible must have happened, because the two shows, or like the movie and show it's based off of, RoboCop and the $6 Million Man, are both things where like, so RoboCop is obviously a cop. $6 Million Man was an astronaut. In RoboCop, the cop got into like a horrible accident or was like attacked or something by criminals. He almost died, and the only way to kill or to keep him alive was to like transform him into like a robot, or like make him a robot cop so that he could be saved. Same thing with the $6 Million Man. He was an astronaut who I think was in some sort of like spaceship crash, or not spaceship, space shuttle crash or something like that. It was the same thing. They had to genetically enhance him. He had like super strength and all this stuff so that he could survive. So I'm like, following that inspiration.
Yes. What
happened to Inspector Gadget that made him need to be a bionic man? What sort of horrible accident had and I'm guessing that whatever it was maybe also has to do with why he has custody of Penny.
I would say why Penny's an orphan.
Yes. Exactly. Like maybe it was with Penny's parents.
Yeah,
maybe he is actually biologically an uncle, or maybe he's not. He's like quote unquote Uncle Gadget.
Oh yeah,
he has very blonde hair and he has dark black hair,
super dark.
So,
yeah, I was definitely assuming
happens,
whatever accident happened took out her parents and saved him. Yeah. I think we should cover this show at some point and see what else it reveals.
Get to the bottom of it.
Yes, so his past.
Exactly. Well, then on that note, I'll end my speculation right there. Then
amazing, great job.
Come back, folks, one day, maybe next year, maybe who knows? Soon, we'll see. Yeah. Eventually, we'll see for more on Inspector Gadget. Yeah.
Yes, great job.
I hope that also got everybody in the Christmas spirit. Hopefully, no Santas are out there being abducted or kidnapped or anything like that. Or let's hope not.
We can hope for.
We need Santa to be delivering
we need those presents.
Exactly. He should be gearing up. Those labor laws are looking.
Ooh, they're out the window right now.
North Pole is like its own sovereignty. It's and he's the king of it. So
they're running 24/7 right now. There's no
labor laws.
Exactly.
I make you look at Santa kind of differently.
He is the law.
I mean, he is committing not burglary, I guess, but mass trespass.
Breaking and
entering, and airspace maybe violations, customs also, violations.
Santa's real judgy,
crossing borders without any
who's naughty or nice. Yeah, interstate commerce laws out the window.
Exactly. Who never heard of him?
Again, he is the law.
He is the law.
And that's it.
So on that note, while we are waiting for Santa to put gifts under our trees,
yes,
Grace, who should they tell about this podcast?
I think this year you should tell if you celebrate Christmas and you haven't gotten your tree yet, or you're like going to like, I don't know, just like all those cute little festivities. If you go somewhere that has, like some places will have like, oh, look at these little reindeer, and you can like pet a reindeer, or like they're just deer in a yard and they're like, it's a reindeer.
Sure.
Like a petting zoo situation. Tell the owner of that quote unquote reindeer or whatever like Christmas festival you're going to. Tell someone who works there or whoever's running it. And also, if you live in somewhere that shouldn't have reindeer, be like, how'd you get these reindeer here? What's happening? You're not a zoo.
Lightly ask them about that.
Lightly
Where are they sourced from? Yeah.
Yes. Who else should they tell?
After that, you should tell. I don't know. I feel like those kind of things always have, or like the outdoor Christmas fun events always have like a little hot chocolate shop somewhere.
Yes,
right?
They sure do.
So tell the person working at the hot chocolate shop.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's like classic, you grab that and you sip on it while you're
you
waiting in line for the reindeer to see Santa.
Reindeer.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
So tell them.
Amazing. Great. Excellent.
Cool. Till next week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for tuning in to Saturday Morning Mysteries.
If you enjoyed this episode, please share, rate, review, leave us a like, and drop a comment. We post episodes every Saturday and bonus tune tangents whenever we feel like it. So please subscribe so you don't miss the shenanigans.
And if you want to follow us on YouTube, click the bell under the YouTube subscribe button to receive notifications when new videos are posted.
And if you want to subscribe to the podcast, we have no idea what you're listening to us on, so just hit the big subscribe button on whatever app you're using. We believe in you.
Give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram at SatmornMist, all the abreves, and let us know if you have any episode or show requests by emailing SaturdayMorningMysteries@gmail.com.
Thanks to Jenna Kendall for the logo design and to Ava Sakiki for the music used during this week's episode.
See y'all groovy kids next week on Saturday Morning Mysteries.